And we are live from the mean streets of Rio, Leblon.
Yeah.
I'm back with my cohort, I'm in Goose, with this.
Hi guys, welcome to Rio.
This is Fleur Tusk and Sambo from Project Social.
Yeah.
We're just half drunk. It's been a heavy, well, not half drunk, but it's been a heavy weekend. It's been a few late nights, a few early mornings. And it's Sunday, a lazy Sunday in Rio. We're going to go out and do some beach game in a bit, but we thought we'd tune in and answer some questions as per usual.
Yeah, we'll check up on all of you.
But we'll have, so 5 questions at us. If you've got any questions on Rio specifically, we'll what's the word?
Integrate.
We'll focus, prioritise. We'll prioritise
Rio, but basically any questions about life over here or anything that you guys are dealing with back in your own place, let's just get started with a few golden apples.
Yeah, so anything to do with the Brazil, any questions on coronavirus, any questions really, but we'll prioritise the ones for Brazil. I am going to be with Sam now for another month or 6 weeks, and we will travel around Brazil a bit as well. So we're in Rio at the moment, but we will head off to potentially Recife, potentially by Salvador. And so what's been happening is guys have been kind of messaging us with inquiries, and we're giving guys detail about how to come into Brazil, what you should be focusing on, where to stay, and we've got coaching available. But what was the topic you were talking about earlier? We were kind of
just to get us started. It's the idea of like chasing and not chasing, and it's just because I've seen in a few different cases celebrities or people that are supposed to be commanding some level of respect or authority saying don't chase women, right? And it's as if they're an authority on things already because they've become famous or had success in one area, and they say don't chase women. Women will chase you. And people are like, oh yeah, women will chase me, so I never have to chase women. They'll just come to me if I don't chase them.
So this if they're famous?
It's if they're famous, or even I see dating coaches say it. I see people say don't chase women. And I understand, I think, what they're trying to say, which is that you shouldn't keep double messaging her, and you shouldn't keep like going if a woman's not responding or if she doesn't seem interested in you. But to just say don't chase women, and you see a lot of guys that don't cold approach and are not anti-cold approach, but they're like, that's a bit weird, mate, isn't it? Those sort of people that aren't into it. So I don't chase women, no, women come to me. There's this sort of line that seems to be cool for men to say, which is that you don't chase women, you let them come to you. And I wanted to address it because I've seen it in just normal guys, everyday guys, dating coaches, celebrities, and everyone kind of puts out this message. And it's nice to repeat, right, for people that don't cold approach. It's nice to say, no, I don't need to chase women, women chase me.
For argument's sake, how would that work?
What?
If you've got a sick Instagram, women will be cold messaging you, basically?
So yeah, that if you're famous, if you're rich, if you've got some level of prestige, if you've got a good Instagram, there's many reasons why you might have women coming to you. But the point of don't chase women for the average person, I think, lands on deaf ears, because the whole process of getting to a stage where women are chasing you for the average guy entails having to have chased them at some point, right? Like the whole reason I got into cold approach in the first place is because I was chasing a girl and she went off with some other guy, and I was like, what the hell's happening? We had a good vibe, we had a good energy together, I liked her, she seemed to be getting on with me, we had like a good vibe, it was clear that we were getting on well.
Right.
And some other guy came along who didn't give a monkey's, didn't have any connection with her, didn't vibe with her at all. They had nothing in common.
Right.
And she went off with him straight away.
And that's a real story.
Yeah, that's a real story. That's literally the thing that got me into this. And so I'm sitting there like, is she stupid? Like, what's going on? Why on earth would she go for that guy? They've got nothing. He's not intelligent, he didn't do anything, but he just had the intent, or he just went in there and to speak in your language, he got the thing done, right? And so that was the experience that taught me so much and actually got this process started. And for most guys, you've got to go out there, you've got to put yourself out there, you've got to fail, you've got to be rejected, you've got to feel like a bit of an idiot, you've got to feel the kind of pain of failure in many ways to taste the sweetness of success and to start that whole process. And so yeah, it's kind of to address the idea of don't chase women. That's not something you can say from the start. If you don't have women chasing you, it's not that simple. You've got to do something. And chasing women is better than not chasing women and never getting anywhere because you never put yourself out there and were willing to fail.
So what do we mean by chasing women? We mean cold approaching.
Yeah, so I mean that depends how you define it. Part of the issue with the comment that's don't chase women is it's so broad as to suggest that is that cold approach or is that double, triple messaging? Like what exactly is it referring to? But obviously the first step, which is the cold approaching, to some extent is chasing. Because by approaching her, you're making the move that says you are potentially something that I desire, when she hitherto hasn't expressed any desire for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, just on that note, a lot of the approaching I've done has actually been off the back of a girl checking me out in Rio.
Okay.
So you could argue that it's just me showing up and actually taking advantage, noticing and taking advantage, but women are still the sexual selectors, right?
Yeah, 100%. In every case, ultimately, with humans, women are the selectors. Like, they're the sexual selectors. And it's about the sort of man, I guess, bringing his value up enough to be selected in whatever way.
So, yeah, I think to address it, just to carry on from your point, yeah, I have seen dating coaches saying you don't need to approach.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
Yeah.
You have to be approaching.
And,
you have to be starting the courtship ritual with the woman. That's your job as a guy, right? You start the process. She might have checked you out, but you're still walking over and saying, hey, how you doing? And starting a conversation off the back of that.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, just to get the point across is it's like, to get to a position where you're not chasing women, for the average guys, you have to have been chasing and felt the pain of it. Like, pain is the thing that in many cases causes you to actually do the right thing, start the journey that needs to be taken. And so to start out in anything and expect not to fail and not to feel like you're fucking up or feel like a bit of an idiot is to just miss the whole point, right? It's that beginner's mindset that you've got to always come back to. Even when you're good at something, always treat yourself as a beginner, as a student, as someone that's going to learn.
Sure.
And I just think there's so much ego embodied in the idea of, like, don't chase, or I never chase women. Like, don't chase women, let women chase you. Morgan Freeman said it on, like, live TV, and everyone was like, yeah, Morgan Freeman says don't chase women. It's like, well, yeah, he's Morgan Freeman, isn't he? If he was a homeless person on the street, he's not going to have women chasing him. And the fact that in that position, he's never learned to chase women, he's never learned to approach women, be the person putting in the effort, learning, failing, means that if he lost everything, he'd have no chance with women because he's never learned the hard way. He's never learned why they get emotional, how to manage their emotions, what they're really looking for. None of those traits, and it's the same with so many celebrities. If DiCaprio lost everything that he's got, if he lost his good looks, if he lost his wealth, lost his fame, lost his money, he wouldn't have a fucking clue what to do because he's always been chased by women. He wouldn't know.
Well, not before he was famous, presumably.
Presumably not. But someone like that was famous from an extremely young age. Has he actually had a lot of time to go out and put in the work and actually get the experience?
Brad Pitt apparently, when he first moved to Hollywood, couldn't pull a muscle. Before he got his he was a little bit famous as an actor, but he couldn't pull a muscle.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Imagine a football, like the average footballer, when that, it's nothing to take down footballers, like massive respect for them getting so good at something that they can monetize it to the extent that they have.
Punting a balloon around.
Exactly. Yeah, but they've smashed it. But I mean, if the average footballer lost everything, broke his leg, and wasn't famous anymore, you haven't got the education, you haven't put in the work, you haven't been able to build other areas of your life, you haven't been able to learn about the world in a way that so many other people have been learning whilst you've been kicking the old pig's bladder around the grassy patch.
Let's
answer some of these questions.
Yeah, so this is going to go out as a video on your channel, so what we're going to do is make sure we read out the questions. From Mark, how do you manage to game a girl better than another guy? Do you interact with him or just ignore and try and vibe with the girl? So this would be a situation, maybe this is comparable to the streets of Rio, right, at night in Leblon. What you have is the setup is very busy bars, outside, everyone mingling, everyone chin-wagging, mixed groups of guys and girls.
Yeah.
What would be your advice in that situation, Sam?
So for me over here, again, this is going to be culturally nuanced, so I'm going to first talk about how to do it in Rio and then try and translate that back onto essentially any culture.
Right.
Because that's what you should be doing, particularly when you're travelling, is you should be trying to learn lessons in one country, learn a particular lesson, and then translate what you've learned back onto your culture, right? And so here in Rio, the where we are in Leblon,
very classy area.
Yeah, it's very classy, but the culture here is to be relaxed, right, and to be cool. So if someone goes out and starts talking to your girlfriend for a guy, the cool thing here isn't to react and to tell him to go away, as it would be in Eastern Europe and probably in the UK as well, parts of the States as well. the cool thing to do here is to smile, let them talk to her, and show that you don't care. The cool thing for guys is to be this sort of chilled, relaxed, doesn't need to get in anyone's way, doesn't need to fight anyone. He's got his own thing going on, doesn't get jealous when his girlfriend's talking to another guy. He's cool, and that's the sort of culture here. So if you saw a girl with a guy here, most of the time, if he's a Brazilian from this part of Rio, he wouldn't react much to you talking to his girl. But the fact that he's not reacting means a lot of the time she's actually going to stay with him. Whereas when a guy gets really reactive, more often the girl's going to show interest in you, because the jealousy of that guy makes her think, why am I with a guy that's so protective and jealous? I want to feel free. This guy seems more relaxed than this guy. Upgrade. But more often than not, if you see a guy with a girl, particularly on a night out at a bar, they're not together, because not many guys bring their girlfriends to like a busy, crowded place like that. So to answer the question, if I saw a beautiful girl with a guy who I suspected wasn't her boyfriend, over here I would just go up and talk to the girl, right? I wouldn't be trying to amog the guy or try and do better than him, but I'd just be like, hey, how you doing? Right? Just open the conversation naturally. There's no right or wrong thing to say in this situation. It's about the energy that you carry. It's about the vibe that you carry. So if you go up and you just say, hey, you can then gauge the reaction and find out like what the situation is, right? And obviously people are very chilled here. So very often I've done that in the past, and the guys have just been just as interested. Like, oh, you're from England, man. Oh, I'm learning English. I went to the English school here. And they start talking to you because they're very culturally curious. If I were to translate that back to the UK, what I would often do, well, what I've done before, is I've gone up and to the guy and said, excuse me, man, is this your girlfriend? Right? And if he said, yes, it's my girlfriend, and it hasn't been his girlfriend, the girl will say, we're not actually in a relationship, right? And then that will give you access to the girl, because again, she's kind of weirded out that a guy said they're in a relationship to get rid of a potential opportunity, and she's not impressed with that. If she agrees and says she is your girlfriend, you can just say, oh, I just want to say you guys are a really nice couple, right? And leave it at that. You're not trying to get a girl who's clearly into the guy or not into you enough to make it clear that she's single. So yeah, that's how I would do it.
Go to Rio. Go to Rio. Our cameraman Chris is telling us to say, but it's true.
He's giving us subliminal messaging.
It's very rare me and Sam are in one place together. We've gone through this again, just to remind guys, if you haven't watched a live stream with me and Sam before, but we're in Rio at the moment. It's completely open. The gyms are open. There's lots of women here. It's a great place to be day gaming. I mean, there's just interacting with other humans in general. The sun is good. The beach is there. It's an amazing place to be.
Yeah. How was your night last night? You were out last night, weren't you?
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun.
Where did you go?
We ended up in a place called Boa Praça, but then that died. So we went down. There's a strip of bars, and we ended up at a place called Jobby, which was super busy outside.
Yeah.
Lots of people to interact with. Really, really cool spot. And it's just a brilliant place to get started with this. Your options now, if you want hot weather, are go out to Mexico to see Les. He's in Playa del Carmen. Maybe go to Miami. Maybe go to Dubai, or come out to Brazil. Those are the major options. If you resonate with me and Sam's content, obviously his channel, if you don't know what it is, it's Fluid Social, very similar mindsets to me in a lot of ways, focus on sober communication. We're going to be joining forces, teaching guys, so we're really open to having some guys out here. We've got a few clients already, but we've got room for some more. And we are going to be charging around, traveling around different bits of Brazil. The ideal situation would be you come out for 2 weeks and you spend 2 weeks with us. We do a few hours coaching every day. We teach you the day game, we teach you the texting, we teach you the dating. Sam's fluent in Portuguese. We've got loads of contacts all over Brazil. It's just a brilliant, thing to do to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, so my focus here, obviously I've lived here a while, has been as much on, well, more so on social circles, social networking, than it's been just on women. Because for me, it's so important to have like a tribe, to have a business network, to have a social network. And so, yeah, right now it's just every night, you've got like 15 to 20 guys who are all up for coming out. Each one of them knows a few girls, so you can literally just come into our network. That's what I've been doing with my clients. They come out here. First night, I invite them out to meet my friends. Everyone gets along. Everyone finds some people. They end up messaging each other and going out together. And it's an amazing place for a social network right now. Because most of the people traveling here are people that have got a bit of courage. They're people that are thinking outside the box. They're not locked into the system of watching the news, hearing the death rates are high in Rio and getting scared away, they talk to people, they actually do their research, and they find out that life here is about as good as you can imagine. I'm in paradise here.
Yeah. Tips on how to explode past hesitation when day gaming on your own. Other things that you two do for this. I mean, for me, I prefer to be out with a wing. It's more fun, but it is a necessary skill set to learn on your own, and everyone has their own tricks. Some people like to listen to music. Some people just train themselves to kind of act on that 0-second rule. But the more you can habitualize it, the more you seagull and really just move your feet, and just even if you go seagull, move feet and just open mouth. Hey, hello, wanted to say hi. That's really, it's not that hard to train. You just got to be focused on doing it.
Yeah. And you train a monkey, seagull, move feet, open mouth, right?
Eat banana.
Yeah.
Any other tips?
Yeah, so for me, I actually do have a technique that I use for that every time, which is most of the time if I'm going out and I'm trying to get over a sort of slump where I haven't been approaching much for whatever reason, like there might be a few days or a week that you've been focused on something else, you need to get back into it. I essentially do what I call a social meditation, which basically consists of you walk outside, and for the whole duration, from as soon as you leave the house, for the whole duration, your only focus is to look at the faces of the people around you. Because very often you leave the house and maybe you're going to the shops or something, but you're thinking, oh yeah, I'll try and do some approaches today. And you see a girl and you get locked in your head, oh shit, you know, all the excuses come, all the normal blocks start coming. But what actually happens if you focus on her face, if you just look straight into her eyes and focus on her, is you start to be able to predict with a good level of accuracy how she might respond, right? You see, oh, she's feeling like this, or she's feeling like that. She's not so scary. You actually, our brains are calculators to calculate emotion and expression. And when you actually focus on the individual and don't get lost in your own thoughts, which are going to catastrophize everything you're thinking, you actually have a level of clarity and understanding of how she's feeling and therefore how she might respond. So I do a social meditation whenever I go out, which just consists of saying, I'm not going to think about what I'm having for lunch. I'm not going to think about that person I had an argument with. I'm not going to think about what I'm doing later this evening or what that person said to me in that conversation before. I'm just going to focus on the faces of the people. The old man walking past, the mother with her child, the beautiful girl across the street, the woman working in the shop. Everyone you see, just watch the faces. And after a while, you'll start to find yourself sort of grounded in your environment, but more importantly, priming your brain to recognize human faces. And when you do that, you're not going to miss an opportunity. You're going to see the beautiful girls, and the fact that you've primed your brain to be reading people and looking at people, which is essentially the first step in human interaction, is first to make eye contact, makes that next step of actually seeing the person, reading their facial expressions, and going up to them with a present mind and feeling grounded in your environment. It makes the conversation way better.
Luke says, about to reach out to a girl again, scheduled a date this week in between apartments, so staying with parents. Should I grab an Airbnb for better logistics? If your parents have an issue with you taking girls back to yours, yes, that would be the obvious thing to do.
Yeah, it would be probably the right thing to do, even if they don't, because she might have a little bit of you live with your parents vibe about it.
Depending on how old Luke is. I mean, his photo looks like a 50-year-old man.
Sure, I would recommend if you have the opportunity to get your own place, because even in terms of mindsets,
it's just better,
I say this to guys, it's, even if your parents are okay with you bringing a girl back, when you're around your parents, they naturally bring out a side of you that's not probably the side that you want to be expressing with a girl. A lot of you will have it when you go back home for Christmas or something.
Very
and
true.
you start to find yourself
point.
acting like a child.
Yes.
Because you've got so many anchors to the way that you were when you were young and they were mothering and fathering you, that when you bring a girl back, you sort of fall maybe into the same patterns. So I would strongly suggest getting your own place, at the very least, just to separate yourself from the anchors of childhood.
How do you deal with masculine females? Well, it was interesting because I was traveling around with a friend in Mexico. He's got a thing for quite, I guess, career successful American women. He likes the drama. He likes that kind of intelligence. He likes them challenging him, whereas I really don't like those type of women.
Intelligence?
Yeah. I don't know, just, they're quite masculine, like they're quite ball breaking. Like I met a lot in Tulum when I went there, like really high end, like corporate attorneys, and they're just, for me, a ball ache to be around. But it was interesting because I was wingmanning him a bit with them. He'd bring a few of those type of women out on dates, and I was doing him a favour, but I really wasn't enjoying it. I tend to not go for those, I guess, quote unquote masculine women. What about you, Sam?
So I'm sort of the same. The women that I like to meet up with and generally hang out with, and the ones that I sort of like to date when I'm traveling around, and usually between sort of 19 and 23, 24, because I like the sort of the youthfulness, the like passion, the collagen. It's true. I mean, so I like dating women who are like sort of early mid-20s more. But however, I don't think that you should just be thinking about this purely as in terms of how can I date as many women as possible. Wherever you go, to whatever country or whenever you're traveling, it's always good to think about this as something broader. Think about the long-term implications of networking, meeting interesting people. And a lot of my friends in the UK are women that, you know, work as bankers, lawyers and things, and I consider them good friends, an amazing part of my network. So even if I'm not looking to date women like that, how do I deal with them? Well, I try and be polite, respectful, and treat them as I would anyone else. Because they could be a valuable part of your network. They could be a good friend of yours. They could be a business partner. They might have other beautiful friends who you might find attractive. So I would never treat anyone as if they're to be discarded. Rather, I would treat everyone like with respect and as if they're an old friend. Because that's how you get people to like you, that's how you build your network, and that can be important in the future.
Yeah, the way I'm interpreting his question is like, how do you deal with them if you're dating them? But
I just don't date them.
Yeah, it's exactly the same with me. But I absolutely agree with you. It's not like you can't have more masculine girls as friends. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Joe says, how voluptuous are the girls in Brazil, fake or real booties?
You don't get many fake booties here. That's much bigger in Colombia. The reason being that you can basically tell most of the time if the arse is fake because the legs are not proportionate to it. So when I went to Cali, for example, even just in the airport, I noticed a lot of arses that looked really out of proportion to the legs. It wasn't attractive to me.
Just stuck on like an apple.
Because I think part of the reason why we appreciate good bodies in general is because it shows some level of like discipline and desire and like a want to present yourself well from the woman's side. So over here, the arse is worshipped, booties are worshipped over in Brazil. And so I feel like for women, having a fake arse is almost a little bit embarrassing because it's like, why couldn't you work for that? Why didn't you go out and do the squats?
There's a lot of women who do inject steroids though to pump up their ass, and they'll just squat a lot. There's a lot of fake tits here as well.
There's fake boobs are more common here, but again, there's actually some laws because Brazilian plastic surgeons are some of the most well regarded in the world. You've got some of the best paid plastic surgeons in the world. They're not allowed to make out of proportion boobs.
Really?
Like it's legal requirement that they measure your body type and they do a job. Because there were so many people that got them and then complained and had disasters because they were too big for their body, they had problems, they wanted to take it back. And so most of the time you don't get fake boobs that are huge, they're usually proportionate to the body. So if you've got a slim figure and a small size, they're more natural than they are in other parts of the world.
We'll prioritise Michael's question because he actually paid some money, so cheers, Michael. I'm trying to gamify, pick up with some friends who are new. However, could I do this to make it more, how could I do this to make it more fun for everyone? More fail videos would be nice. Well, yeah, I mean, the 10-week program that me and Les run, which basically gets you up to by week 10, it's a step-by-step walkthrough. By week 10, you're doing 20 to 30 approaches a week, taking around 4 to 5 hours, which should generate you 2 to 3 new dates a week with new hot girls. That is a gamified process. The whole point is it's supposed to be fun. So if you're interested in doing that, there's a new one starting in April. We take 15 guys on at one time, and it's going to be really cool. So send me an email, info@jamestuss.com. But yeah, it's called game for a reason, right? It should be fun. It shouldn't feel like a chore, right? Going out and socialising.
Yeah,
it should be fun. Should be playful. Should be obviously there's the underlying dynamic of yes, you want to increase your options with hot girls. That is why people get into day game. But is there a kind of a trade-off there where we don't have to take it too seriously?
No, it should never be taken too seriously when you're doing it. Again, I would sort of come back to what I explained earlier, which is to see it as almost like a meditation, right? When I go out and I'm by myself and I'm focused on this, which I try to be when I leave the house virtually every time, I'm ready to talk to someone. I'm not necessarily looking to talk to someone, but if I'm running along the beach and I see a beautiful girl, I'm gonna change direction, go and talk to her, tell her that she was distracting me whilst I was running, and start a conversation. And the way I do that is that I've always just primed my mind to recognize human beings. And I know that when I see a woman, and I'm not going out to game, for example, which I generally speaking don't, only once in a while, then you don't feel so awkward about it or anxious. Sometimes when you're going out and you're saying, right, I'm just going to approach women, it all starts becoming a bit serious and becoming a bit deep. But if you give yourself that ulterior motive, if you say, right, I'm going to go hang out with my friend because I like him, we're going to go have a coffee, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to go for a run, then that incidental sense that you see a beautiful woman and you're just the type of man that approaches when you see a beautiful woman, it takes away the weirdness of it because you don't feel like a hunter catching its prey. You just feel like a man going about his business in the world and doing what you know to be the right thing to do. So I understand going out to do day game, but for the majority of guys, particularly guys that watch my channel, it's more about integrating this into your lifestyle seamlessly rather than going out for day game sessions so much. However, we do enjoy the odd run around, like every now and then when we're going out to talk to women. And once you can you've got a bit of experience, that starts to just feel like something fun to do, right?
Yeah, and if you can mesh it into 3 or 4 approaches a day, every day, I think that's an ideal number. I think you do have to play in the numbers element to a degree.
100% you do,
so minimum 20, 25 approaches a week, really.
Yeah.
Rebel Evolution says, what do you guys think about MGTOW and Red Pill? I got recommended you by a YouTuber from Red Pill. Well, we both have an understanding we both think the Rational Male is a pretty solid book for understanding Red Pill concepts. And we both got an understanding of kind of the revolutionary side, haven't we? The Richard Dawkins self-esteem side. But I think there's a danger of going too far down that path and getting a bit bitter.
Yeah.
And it usually falls in line with guys who are reading reams of theory and then taking no action. They're not actually going out and trying to improve anything, right? And you can become ending up pretty bitter. Yeah. But it's good to have an understanding of these concepts. I just think you don't want to go too far over the hill and become some kind of woman hating. Like,
well, this unfortunately the way that I see the well-trodden path of like men go their own way in the more extreme forms is man goes out to meet women, man falls in lust or falls in love, gets completely enchanted by a woman. Woman goes off a guy which he considers to be less intelligent or less interesting or less good than him. Man sees this pattern continue in other women. Man gets embittered by women and begins to hate women for their failure to see him as valuable. Man finds YouTuber that supports this vision of women as stupid for going for the wrong guys. And then man gets addicted to watching the YouTube channels of other men who've experienced this pattern. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where all he's hearing is people who hate women, who are giving him the same ideas and forcing him further into this anger. And when that same guy actually begins to meet women and see what they're actually like, feel their femininity, connect with them on a real level, see that not all women are completely fucking stupid or bitter or nasty, then he starts to wean himself off the red pill mentality and start to just like ignore what he fucking sees on the internet and live his life as he wants to. If you're watching these YouTube channels over and over again with guys that hate women, you're just going to start believing what you see because propaganda works, whatever it is.
And I think the MGTOW movement is kind of like saying, fuck women, I just go my own way, I don't need to be dating, which is obviously nonsense. And the red pill as a whole, I think there are some pretty accurate concepts, but again, if you're going too far down that rabbit hole, it's just, it's seeing it all in a very kind of, there's no romantic element to it, is it? It's very transactional, it's very black. Women are always going to cheat on me, which is not true.
No, it's not.
But there's very black and white concepts which tend to paint a negative picture of women, like they're consciously like in cahoots with each other trying to fuck men over, which is just not how life is. The sexual market is a cruel mistress. It's a harsh environment to be in, but that's just evolution, right? And that's not, oh, fuck women, they're to blame.
Yeah, I think also we've just got to become really aware of the ways in which we're being hypocrites. And one of the ways is that men go their own way is sort of the opposite. Have a guy cheat on them or a guy leave them or a guy not like them because they're not attractive and they haven't worked on their body. And they say, fuck all men, they're shallow, they only go for attractive women, they're objectifying women. And that's almost a fair reflection of the men go their own way, saying, fuck all women, they're only going for guys who are successful. And when you detach yourself and come out of this loop, step back from YouTube, step back from all of this propaganda, you see this as all a natural balance, right? You've got extreme feminism on one side, extreme men, Elliot Rodgers, men go their own way on the other side, and then there's a bell curve in the middle, and you just want to put yourself in the middle of wherever that is and accept that all people are different. Men have good qualities innately and bad qualities. Women have good qualities and bad qualities, or qualities that, make life difficult for them and other people. And you've just got to find the people that you like and enjoy yourself with the people that you connect with.
What do you think of Roosh V? I mean, I don't really want to go into specifics with guys because I don't really think we consider ourselves in the industry as such. But
I don't know. I don't want to answer that question.
No. Okay. I've heard he's quit the whole thing anyway and has gone super religious. But I don't know him. I've never really watched his stuff. Yo, I'm 16. Is it worth me getting into the game or waiting till I'm older and having a better life experience? Yeah, I think you can start socialising, whenever. The younger the better,
100%.
right? 100%. The younger the better. Come on. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
If you're 16 years old and you have opportunities to meet women and become, learn what other people aren't learning at 16, if your friends are playing video games at home, and you see an opportunity to go and hang out with some cool guys and some girls at a mall or somewhere else, just go there. Just be as social as you can.
Practice your social skills.
Break out of the loop of just degeneratism that I was doing when I was 16.
Most people come at this from quite an introverted background as well, that we tend to teach of all ages. So the more you can practice just socialising and getting comfortable with socialising, the easier it's going to be. Come and have a boot camp in Norway, fellas. There is a coach there, Mr. B. He was in Rio with us. He is going to be running boot camp, so get in touch, info@jamestuss.com, and we can discuss the availability of his next Oslo boot camp.
How's the battery, Chris? Good.
Yeah, just let us know when it cuts, and then we can...
Yeah, and for mine, obviously, I think most of you guys know that if you want to get in touch with me, I've got my Calendly link attached below in the description, which will just give you a 30-minute breakthrough call where I'll answer any of your questions and help you in whatever way I can for 30 minutes. And it's purely just to get you off the mark, right, and to give something away for free to anybody that feels like they need a hand. So yeah, just find the link in the description on my video.
Does game have an age limit? Won't you become too old to approach younger girls at some point without it being creepy? I mean, I'm 34, so maybe. I mean, I've got a few years left in the old tank. Luckily, I look younger than I sound and feel and look internally. So
I would say the answer on a broad sense is no. If you are older and you want to do it and you resonate with the message, you should go and do it. However, if you're younger and you're thinking, oh, I'll leave it until I'm older, you probably don't want to be in a position where you're much older than you are now and you still don't have women already in your life, right? When you're older, you probably want to have the options already. So whatever age you are, you should be thinking about this as creating options so that when things do get more difficult when you're older, you've already got amazing women in your life and you've already got loads of opportunities and you've already built yourself up in the ways that you would want to be built up, to have cool experiences and good connections. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the coaches I work with, Silver Fox, he's 45, he regularly dates 19, 20-year-olds in Colombia. That's not everyone's cup of tea. I personally wouldn't have much to connect with them on. Just generationally, it's quite a big gap, but he's a great example of guy. He's not, he'll be the first to say he's fairly average in the sense that he's charismatic, but he's not particularly good looking, he's not in particularly good shape, he doesn't have particularly good fashion, he doesn't have like loads of money. He's just, he's got some good chat, but it just goes to show you can date younger girls. I think there's a bit of a false illusion with this stuff. Again, it's a lack of knowledge, isn't it? Lack of understanding. Yeah. But men peak if the rational male is to be believed, which it seems to be accurate from what I can understand, and people seem to agree on it. 37, 38 is the male peak attractiveness to the opposite sex. You really do have your choice of women. So, yeah, obviously, if you're 60, I'm not sure you're going to be charging around cold approaching, 25-year-olds necessarily. I mean, I do know guys I've taught who do that, and they'll date 30-year-olds. So I think you're always just readjusting, aren't you? Your kind of level of age.
You're adapting, yeah. If you're older, just find environments that are suitable for single women, right? Maybe you'll find yourself in art galleries and you see like an attractive 35, 40-year-old woman, and you've got something to say to her. Like, even if you're young, but particularly if you're old, find the environments that best suit the types of women that you're going to be wanting to meeting.
Demographics.
Attractive, intelligent, single women. Where do I find them? Right, well, maybe they're in an art gallery. Maybe they're in a library, in a bookstore. Maybe I find them in a posh cafe in
With
London.
shared interests.
Yeah.
I think if you're into art, perfect, go and game in art galleries.
Exactly.
If you're into kind of hippie yoga girls, go to Bali and game on the beach.
Yeah.
If you're into girls who are super into their fitness, game in fitness classes, right?
Yeah, just speak to people in the environments where you're likely to find the people that you're attracted to.
Yeah, that's such a big thing, but it's
so obvious.
But it's very targeted, right? Because a lot of guys think day gamers, you have to go out to the street and run around. It's like almost a headless chicken, like hope for the best routine. No, you can be very targeted with where you're going, right?
But that's another great thing about Rio, actually, is that like, so for me, the types of girl that I like to meet are all learning volleyball and foot volleyball on the beach, right? So you go to the nicest part of the beach, the most beautiful part of the most beautiful beach. You sign up for, you know, pittance. You sign up for a month of foot volleyball classes, which is like football over a volleyball net. And you meet beautiful, athletic, fit, young, confident girls who are learning it there. And then you can build your network. You go and talk to them, grab a coconut afterwards, invite them out with some of your friends. It's going to the environments that you're likely to find them, but honestly, Rio is the place, of all the places I've been in the world, where it's easiest to find those environments. You've got the libraries in town, you've got bars that specifically, like Bukowski, specifically for women that are a little bit older. It's like for horny, single, 35-year-old women. And they're all there, so if that's what you're looking for, one of my friends, Tadeo, that we saw there yesterday, Tadeo. Yeah, one of Carlos's friends as well. He's always there because that's his type of woman.
That's his thing.
And so he turns up whenever I'm there. I find him there. And Rio has these sort of segregated environments where you can find the exact type of woman that you're looking for.
It's also just so easy to date in Rio. It's so easy to get on.
Yeah, because the women want to be talked to and they make it obvious, right? You don't have that negative propaganda saying that men want to speak to women and women just don't want to speak to men. It's almost like that's the message now in the UK and Europe and America, is like women don't want to be talked to and you have to break them out of that feeling in order to get anywhere. And over here, women actively, vocally and obviously do want to be spoken to. And so it just makes life so much easier. I agree. This is some good questions, guys. I like it. They're not specific to Brazil. Again, if you're just tuning in, me and Sam are running boot camps. We're going to be together in Rio for the next at least 2 weeks, and then we're going to travel around Brazil. But get in touch, info@jamestuss.com. We can discuss you coming out and join us in Brazil. Join us for some coaching. It's a brilliant place to learn this stuff, and it's open. I need help finding a wingman in the US, says Jaden. Get in touch, info@jamestuss.com. Send me an email. I have wing groups all over the US, different cities, looking cut tusk, keeping up the fitness regime. I'm not sure about that. If by cut you mean drinking lots of Brahma beer and eating hot dogs, then yeah. Banana cake. Banana cake, reveal yourself. Hi both, from Raj. I feel this is going to be an emotional one. You guys have different insights like legends Krauser and Torero. Love your channels and what you do. Over the years I've learned and realised game is different for everyone. Yes, it is. And although I took a lot of value from these guys and they taught me a lot, their view of it is different to me, right? And I think it's about cherry picking what resonates with you and what works and then moulding that into your personality. Because no two humans are the same, right? Shirag. My question to you is how to attract girls in college. I can't be direct and I don't know how to attract women indirectly. Please help. Well, get coaching would be the obvious thing. Don't wing it. You know, get in touch with either me or Sam. Yeah. And we'll have a chat on the phone, do a consultation with you for free and set you up to learn this stuff. Yeah. You don't have to teach yourself, that's the point. The thing is you can just get in touch and you don't have to buy anything, right? So like, if you just want to get in touch with us and just talk about your situation, either of us are just going to be happy to help you on a call. So if that's what you're scared about, it's like, oh, I'm going to get on the call and then immediately I'm going to have to pay money that I don't have because I'm in college. It's like, no. But both of us are in a position where we can get enough people paying clients. We're happy to help you in whatever ways we can over a call, so just get in touch. My experience was that I was at Nottingham. You were at Nottingham as well. When I went to Nottingham, I struggled so much in my first year. I didn't know how to talk to any women. Broke up with my girlfriend. Was just a moaning wreck. Did you meet her there, or did you meet her? No, I met her at school and went to uni with her. Oh no, that's what I did. And then she broke up with me. The old disaster in the box. I did exactly that. I arrived 2 months in, she was hooking up with the rep, the club rep for her halls. It was exactly the same. I went with. It was already on the decline for a few months, and then I went with her because I was clinging to the one girl who'd helped me.
God, it's sad, isn't it?
And then I broke up and I just had no idea what to do, and I'd missed the Freshers Week where everyone was like figuring it out and making their friends, and I was well behind. I hit rock bottom and then started learning about this, remembered about some of the information I'd heard from a friend before, and basically had the same situation where I was like, how do I approach girls at my uni? I don't want to approach girls in social circles where it's all going to come back to me, so I just found some local mates in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I met some
hitting
locals.
the townies.
I just went out to the town and just approached the women at Nottingham Trent.
But
Went to the old Trent night.
Nottingham Trent had a far better student union. It was vast.
It was way better, and
it was higher.
It was way more women in Nottingham Trent. So I would just be approaching locals in town, and then taking what I'd learned, the gambits that I'd learned back to my university, and just started building my social circles there.
I do have nostalgia for the uni days. It's unnecessary downing.
Oh, you've never got it. You've never left uni, really.
No, I really
You're sort of 50% out and 50% in.
I have nostalgia for all that nonsense.
Let's get out the beer bong table for the lads.
The unnecessary drinking with the lads. I think that's part of why I do what I do now. Is because I just love charging the light brigade with a group of blokes, just charging around the globe. Fun times.
You need at least one a month in my book. You need at least just one charge around where the focus is just on getting to know the guys better, like having fun, having a laugh, letting loose.
But that's what we've been having, which has been brilliant. We've had a mix of students and just cool guys we know who are former students and guys that you've networked with in Rio, and it's like there's always someone to hang out with, go out with, wing with. It's just a fucking cool vibe. That's what life's all about, right?
Yeah.
And I think the longer we move, the next few years is going to be really telling, because I think more and more people are going to be wanting to learn these skill sets.
Yeah,
because they're going to be working remote, realising they can be anywhere in the world.
Coming out of COVID as well.
Yeah, and everyone, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're working in the corporate sphere, you can set up your life now. I mean, office work as we know it is not ever going to be the same. People are able to work remote. Why wouldn't you set yourself up in somewhere with a beach, with beautiful women who are into you?
100%.
Novelty value factor just because you're from the UK or the US and they're Brazilian, so basic sexual market economics. It's just a no-brainer, right?
That's why I'm so happy with my network here, and it's almost been so easy to build, is because literally everyone I know here that's a foreigner, they've had to make the decision of saying, right, I'm leaving at a time where everyone's scared to leave. I'm going to come here. So, like, the average person I would meet in London in the street is, the average English guy, or German guy, American guy, is so different to the average person that I'm meeting, the average foreigner that I'm meeting in Rio, because everyone I'm meeting here has just got something about them. They've got an online business. They're traveling around. They've got the confidence to come out to an unknown country at an unknown time that we're being told is dangerous. And everyone I've met has just been super interesting, and that's why we've got a group now of like 20 people in a WhatsApp group, all of whom are just good guys, all of whom are having fun and getting to know one another and making the most of the time they've got when other people are stifled and stuck. So if you are in a position where it's even feasible for you to leave the country and you're not going to be putting people at risk that you love, and you're giving the necessary respect to people who are vulnerable, you should be using this as a time to get ahead of the game, as a time to make your mark and do what was difficult to do and do what took courage and enjoy yourself while you've still got the lump of walking flesh to enjoy.
Yeah.
You're not pushing up Daisy 6 feet down.
That's the key point to remember. We always forget, which is we've only got a limited number of breaths, and in Morris momentum, like remembering that you're going to die, right?
Yeah, it is helpful, isn't it?
It really is. Like when you're having a bad day, just realising that in 70 years, it's not.
Yeah.
Fucking just get on with it. Like don't.
And also that you didn't need to wake up today. Like you didn't need to wake up this morning. You could have easily just not woken up.
Yeah.
You just got hit by a car yesterday, and so all of the problems that you're facing right now have to be seen in the perspective of like, Jesus, but however bad it is, I'm so fucking lucky to be in the short stretch of time that I'll ever be alive.
It happened with a guy I met in Laos when I was doing this thing called tubing. You sit on this big river, right, and it's just chaos. You float down a rubber ring, and you have bars either side. People get absolutely hammered. You sign a disclaimer at the start saying, if I die, basically, you can't sue. Your family can't sue on the bar. For a lad I was having a beer with a few days before, ended up chilling with someone he knew a few days later, and they're like, yeah, he died. Just in the river. He just fucking drunk too much, jumped off a jump thing, smashed his head, went under, that was the end of him. It's crazy, and I've been speaking to him a couple of days before. So yeah, life is fragile, make the most of it, get out, create your circumstances. No one's coming to save you with this stuff. You have to take control and say, both what happened to us, right? There was a point, usually everyone comes into this from a point of emotional pain. For me, it was the end of a bad relationship, and I was like, I never want to feel that helpless again. And I started learning this, and same with you and most guys, it's an emotional trigger, usually a negative one, which forced them in. But we've been through this, and we're here to help you through it, and we like what we do, and we enjoy seeing that process, and we've done it with so many people now. The path is laid out. You just have to put faith in us and put faith in the content we put out. Going back to an early question, are you going to see any student in fields that we're going to be, recording probably some guys, focusing on like what they're doing. But again, go onto my channel, go onto Sam's channel and just Google client experiences, because there's so much footage of me all around the world and Sam all around the world teaching guys. So there's, what you get is what you, it's like a tin of Ronsel paint. What you see is what you get. That's what it says on the tin. But we will try and bring you some experiences from Rio, because it's always fun to see.
Yeah, cost of living over here is very cheap. You can live like, you can ball out here for like 50 squids a day. Essentially, a decent apartment in the best part of Rio, essentially the most expensive real estate in South America. You can get a nice studio apartment in the best part for about £800. Maximum $1,000 for a decent place.
The really good area.
You can get a really good lunch. Like, what do we have today? Like grilled chicken thigh, sweet potato, and a salad. Healthy, large quantity, a really fresh juice. You can get it all for about £6.
£6.
$8.
Cheap as fuck.
You can eat for £2.50 lunch if you want. But if you're going to nice restaurants, you'd be spending maximum £30 a day on food and drink.
Rio's now
Beers
cheaper.
cost about 80 cents.
Rio's now cheaper than Mexico. Bolsonaro has really fucked up the economy, and it's just cheap if you're a tourist.
For Brazilians watching, I can't verify that information. COVID's probably contributed somewhat to it, and I sit on the fence as far as the
Tusk's
politics.
worldview. What are your tips for the 21st of June? I'm not sure what's happening on the 21st
Probably
of June.
Probably London's opening
Is it England playing someone? Or?
No, it's it might be England, Czech Republic.
Low battery.
Low battery on the camera. We can continue on yours. I'll close off on mine. So anyone who wants to get in touch with me on my channel, you'll find the Calendly link in the description below. That will be 30 minutes, free call, free content. I just want to help out anyone. And see what we can do in 30 minutes. And so just get in touch with me at the link below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next